Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily. Coming up, more bad news for the Mavericks. The Thunder lost their 10th game and the Warriors picked up a big win heading into the All-Star break. And somehow, unbelievably, our special guest, John Tesh, is going to play Roundball Rock. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Zena. Actually, good night, Zena. Zena, post-game after the Warriors there in the office at NBC. Zena, how's it going? How was the game?
Game was not pretty, but the Warriors pulled it out, and that's really what matters as you close out the All-Star break. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll get to that in a second because we got to talk about the Jimmy Butler experience. But we got some news right before we went to record tonight. Dallas Mavericks center Daniel Gafford's going to be out for about 6 weeks. He suffered a grade 3 right MCL sprain. We saw him leave that game the other day. Zena, obviously, the Mavericks are kind of having a rough run of it since the Luka Doncic trade. And even before that, they lost Derek Lively, and we don't know exactly when he's going to be back. Anthony Davis looks like he's going to be out for at least a month, and now no Gafford. So just no centers for this team. And somehow they still won the game last night, and without Kyrie Irving. So, on one hand, listen, this is bad news for their prospects heading into the playoffs. This is a team that's trying to get themselves out of the play-in. And I think at full health, they probably felt like they still had a good chance to compete come playoff time. But Zena, they're still somehow pulling these wins out, and it's just desperation basketball. You can't root against them.
You can't. And the thing about it is, if we remember earlier this season when Luka was still on the team, I know it feels like so long ago, but when Luka was still on the team and was hurt, the Mavs were still winning. They had a winning record with him out. So they have a brand of basketball that allows them to be resilient and still figure it out without their star players on the floor. But you said it. It's crazy trying to be dominant in the West without size. And you've got no Derek Lively, you've got no Daniel Gafford, and you've got no Anthony Davis. It's tough. It's really, really tough. And so I'm looking at the Mavs, as much as they can play this kind of gutsy, punchy basketball and get some wins out, it's about sustainability. And if you've got your bigs coming back into the mix right when you're trying to make pushes for playoffs, it's going to be a tough road ahead for Dallas overall.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a hugely contested race there in the play-in. So, I mean, but two teams that are actually competitive are going to just completely miss the playoffs altogether. And it's just a matter of which two teams is going to be. Speaking of teams.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
One thing that we are sleeping on in terms of the road ahead for Dallas, Max Christie. Max Christie was the name that we kind of been, tucking under the rug in this whole trade. But he's been awesome these last 5 games with Dallas. I mean, he's pulling 30 plus more minutes. This is the role that they brought him in to be, a defender on the wing and a scorer as well. 15 or more in every single one of the games that he's played. I'm liking the way that Max Christie is showing up in his new assignment.
He's been able to get some shots up for them too when Kyrie's not out on the floor, and that's going to be important for them, especially because Kyrie he's not a guy that's been the most durable. So, you can't ride him 40 minutes a night like you can with some other guys. We talked about the Warriors. We teased the big win. They get a win over the Rockets 105-98. This is game 4 of Jimmy Butler. The Warriors are 3-1 now since Jimmy Butler got there. Did this just solve all their problems, Zena? Is it perfect now with Jimmy Butler?
I don't know if I would use the word perfect, but things definitely look a little bit more dynamic for the Warriors overall. They have a different look to them. It's not them just trying to pull things outside from the arc. They have an ability to have someone like a Jimmy Butler go in the middle of the paint, whether it's getting to the foul line, creating contact, being able to create some wrinkles out of their split action and run it from the post, which is what Jonathan Kuminga typically used to do, right? And maybe something that Andrew Wiggins could do, but not as consistently as a Jimmy Butler. And so you just like the fact that they have a different look to their offense. And most importantly, the looks. The looks are going to Jimmy Butler more than they are all on Steph Curry. And so I know he's happy about having that burden off his shoulder, or at least be able to share that burden with Jimmy Butler alongside him.
Yeah, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they've been kind of having a rough go of it lately, just up and down all season long. Just can't figure things out. They just got a big win. They beat the Thunder 116.
Huge win.
Yeah, 116 to 101. And this was the Thunder's biggest loss of the season, sends them to 10 losses. They're now 44-10. Same record as the Cleveland Cavaliers heading into the break. And, Zena, I'm just starting to think about, okay, what does the second half of the season look like? Obviously the Thunder and the Cavs both had amazing first halves. Which team do you feel like is set up to make a run in the second half and make a run at, 65, 68 wins by the time we get to the playoffs?
Right now, I'm looking at the team that did something at the trade deadline, and that's Cleveland. You add DeAndre Hunter, and you already have the fundamental aspects that you need in a championship team to make a run of it, particularly at Boston. You got size inside, and their bigs are healthy. They're running well. They're moving with no problem. And then you add size on the outside and scoring ability. DeAndre Hunter had been killing it in Atlanta, being able to create his own shot, get to the basket, etc. And you just added that to your arsenal. I'm looking now, Chet Holmgren is back in the mix, but Chet Holmgren doesn't add size or a lot of physicality inside. Maybe he adds physical height, but in terms of being able to impose himself with size and weight and brute effort inside in the paint.
He's a little light in the behind. You can say
he's
that.
A little light.
Yeah.
I respect that way.
Yes. I get what you mean.
That's what Cleveland has right now over OKC. I'm thinking Cleveland's looking a little better right now.
Yeah, I think Cleveland should be set up to maintain what they've been doing. But like I said, you mentioned Chet. They add him basically at midseason back into this team. They're coming into full health. I don't know. If that winds up being the finals, I'm not going to complain. The two best teams from the regular season, if they wind up meeting in the finals, I think it'd be pretty fun. Before we go to break and go to John Tesh, which again, it's just incredible.
I know you're excited.
It was amazing. I got goosebumps at multiple times, embarrassingly, maybe.
That's hard to do.
The Clippers, the Utah Jazz is just like, everyone break out your new players against us, try out your new toys. The Clippers were in Utah. They just signed Ben Simmons, who was a buyout from the Brooklyn Nets. He made his debut. Right. They went to overtime, and Norm Powell had 41 points. James Harden had 32. But Zena, I want to talk to you about Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons actually had a really nice basketball game. 12 points off the bench, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, a block. And I will just say this. They closed regulation with Ben Simmons on the court. He had been playing well. They kept him out there. I think that was a really great move by Ty Lue. Of course, you get into overtime, you want to get some scoring out there, but I liked the wrinkle of having a small ball 5 out there running the floor with those guys. I think the Clippers got a little bit more dangerous.
I absolutely agree with you. You said it. The fact that the Clippers closed with Ben Simmons speaks a lot to what they see him doing for this team, how they see him elevating. It's one thing to choose a new team, or not choose, but be traded to a new team and be utilized, start, maybe come off the bench. But them automatically using him in situations where they must win, they're trying to get the dub. That's huge for Ben Simmons. It's a confidence boost for Ben Simmons to be able to be put in a situation like the Clippers that have significant size inside with the Zubats, right?
Yeah.
Ben Simmons played 27 minutes. Zubats only played 25. That's not a big difference, but guess who closed the game? Simmons over Zubats. So now the Clippers have a different look for their ability to close the game with some size, but also someone that can score on their own and distribute the ball. Ben Simmons having 6 assists last night definitely gives you exactly what he can do for the Clippers. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean, the Clippers were already cool because of Kawhi coming back, but now Ben Simmons in a new home on the West. All right.
It was fun to watch him be disruptive on the wing for a team that's actually pretty good around him. So I'm excited for Ben Simmons to come back. The scariest bunny around the basket, layup that you're ever going to watch in your life, but we're all rooting for Ben Simmons. That's right. Guys, stick around after the break. S and I had a chance to talk to John Tesh, and he's going to play Roundball Rock. It is a very special day here at the Athletic NBA Daily. It's special for me personally. It's special for the show. I think it hopefully is special for NBA fans. Absolutely. Our guest from, making Michael Jordan's theme song, the old Roundball Rock NBA on NBC theme. John Tesh, welcome to the Athletic NBA Daily. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making that song.
I'm a big fan. I should tell you that the Athletic shows up on my Apple News feed, and so that's where I get all of my sports news.
That's awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Hey, the NBA is back on NBC. Roundball Rock is coming back. I would like to start at the beginning because I grew up with this song. Again, some of my favorite sports memories in life. Roundball Rock is the theme song for that. Michael Jordan's theme song, as if he was Superman, is Roundball Rock in my head. So how did you come up with this song in the first place that just nails what the sport of basketball is all about?
Well, the first thing to know is that I had grown up as a musician on Long Island, and then I was playing music, recording music in the 1980s while I was still working on news and things like that. And I got a job at CBS Sports, doing sporting events that nobody else wanted to do. Ski flying and Mr. Universe. And, figure skating was fantastic. And I landed on the Tour de France with a guy named David Michaels, Al Michaels' brother, who's this tremendous producer. And I had never met him before. He goes, "Hey, John, I know you're a musician and a writer. Let's do this MTV style. Let's do the Tour de France. And we'll use music and stuff." I said, "Well, I've got a barn. I've got a piano. I've got some synthesizers. Can we just take those over to France?" And he's like, "Sure." So they put me in a van. And so I learned to write sports music, basically. And for the Tour de France, it's a lot of just a lot of this ostinato stuff.
Yeah. I can see Greg LeMond right now.
Yeah. And then coming downhill is like,
oh, this is awesome.
Right? So
I'm geeking out.
That was me all day doing that stuff. Right. And then since I'm in the sports world, and knowing producers and stuff like that, I heard through the sports grapevine that NBC had gotten the coverage, right? And this is 1989, 1990. And that they were looking for a theme. And so the whole, and this story is online, in a bunch of different places. And so I was just in the middle of the night in Megève, France, still covering the Tour de France. And I'm thinking, what would it sound like? What would a sports theme sound like? First of all, I'm up against, everybody, John Williams and Hans Zimmer and all those, and James Newton Howard and all those guys. But what Ebersol wanted to do and Terry O'Neill is they just wanted to put it out to people and say, hey, we'll consider anything. And so, I got this theme idea in the middle of the night, 2:00 in the morning. And I called my answering machine, which was in New York at the time. And I left a message for myself at 2 a.m. And when I tell this story, on stage, people are like, I tell a story about how I called my answering machine and left a message for myself. And they all laugh, because they've all done that. They've all said, I gotta pick up a quart of milk and all the rest of that stuff. And so I still have, this is actually I have the answering machine.
You have
Here's the answering machine message. I have the answering machine message because I carry it around with me and I play it on stage. So I played this years ago on a PBS special. This is the original answering machine message that I left when I was in Megève, France. And I called my answering machine in New York, and you can see how close it is to what ended up being the Michael Jordan theme.
Yeah.
This is a message for me about the NBA theme. Here's an idea. It goes like this. Wow.
Yeah. So it was, and then I, just sitting at the piano, it was basically I just took the answering machine and just went, and then just, it's the second section, which is, but having watched sports and then been in it and been in the control room, and Brent Musburger was there and all the rest of those guys, understanding that the theme can be two parts, right? Right. Like two fanfares, but then there has to be a place for Marv to talk over. And this was this was something, it was like an inside thing. So I wrote this section, which was basically, so there's not much melody. It's just like, Roy brought to you by, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
I'm doing the Marv Albert voice in my head.
I can hear the Marv Albert voice exactly.
Yes. And then there was, at the end, there had to be something that built up at the end, and that was basically, the whole orchestra playing like, to the theme.
So good.
This is awesome.
Right? And so
it's like an epic.
Those parts, I knew that from working in sports that it had to have all those parts.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I had no idea that it would even work, that they'd pick it. And when they did pick the theme and it played for 10, 11 years or something like that, it was just another theme, right? And this thing really didn't become, I don't think it really became popular until it was off the air for a while. I don't even know how that happened.
I mean, nostalgia, right? It goes away like the NBA. And also, again, Michael Jordan disappeared as well, right? The NBA left NBC and went into this next era, and they changed music. They didn't have Michael Jordan. I think that the two coincide maybe a little bit more than a lot of people realize, but for me, every time I hear that song, that's who I'm thinking about.
I also, for me, especially being a little bit younger, I remember it from the SNL sketch and the moment that was in itself. What was your reaction when you initially saw that, and how did you feel about your rendition being on SNL?
The funniest thing about that is I'm in Los Angeles, right? I have a lot of friends because I grew up there and worked there. A lot of friends in New York. And one Saturday night, it was, I guess it was about, 8:30 Pacific time. And my phone is blowing up. I'm getting texts that are just very confusing. Things like, are you okay with this? Do you see what's happening here? Oh my gosh, these guys, I hate these guys for what they're doing to you right now. I'm thinking, what in the world is this all about? And it was like, okay, watch Saturday Night Live. So I sit down with my wife and we watch the thing. And I watched Jason Sudeikis and Vince Vaughn and Robinson, all these guys. And at the end of it, I turn to my wife and I go, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
It's genius.
And the funny thing about it is that they studied the Avalon show that I did for PBS where we played the theme. And Sudeikis, I'm going to show you this. I made this for you guys. Sudeikis dressed and talked and hairstyle exactly like me. Yes. So that's Sudeikis on the left. That's amazing. And that's me on the right. And so, I mean, they did some work on it, even down to the goofy tie. This is 1994.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even the vest and the tie.
I know.
Can I ask you about the outfit? Because clearly your style has changed. You know what I mean? what went into the? Because I feel like the outfit is
the 90s were a different time. You had to be there.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for cleaning that up for me.
Fair 1994. I'll tell you right now, John Tesh. He was well dressed in 1994.
Fair enough.
All you have to do is just have another look at this, and you can
exactly look at it.
Absolutely.
It's GQ magazine.
So anyway,
get the graphics department on that.
To answer your question, it was instead of people singing the basketball theme to me in airports or even the Entertainment Tonight theme, it became ba basketball.
Yeah.
And give me the ball because I'm going to dunk it. And it was great. And I ran into Vince Vaughn at a buffet one day out here with his son on a Sunday. And he was talking about because he had no idea who I was. And if you watch it again on YouTube, you'll see at one point Vaughn goes, "Well, Tess. He wrote the Entertainment Tonight theme." So he had no idea, but it was that's become a big part of what people remember because it's because of YouTube. Things just live forever, of course.
Yeah, it brought it back into the zeitgeist. So again, we mentioned the NBA is going back to NBC. Roundball Rock's coming back. Is it going to be the classic Roundball Rock that I grew up with, or are you updating it for 2025?
This is, we're coming up on the on All-Star weekend, right? And so I thought, I'm going to go because I just want to go. I've got to take my son. Awesome. I'm going to go and hang out and meet some fans. And I want to do that crossover thing. You go and you shoot baskets and and you hang out. Yeah. So I wanted to figure out, what are I've never really done this before. So I used Instagram. And I made two different mixes. One is called it's just the OG mix, right? And another one is there's a club mix now and a shredded mix. And when we debuted the shredded mix months ago, Sports Illustrated was likening it to they gave it a great review. A lot of USA Today too. Right. So what I did was I'll play a little bit of this. What I did on Instagram is I took the two themes side by side. And with a video editor, I went back and forth. And then at the top, I said, pick your mix, right? Mm-hmm. And so people could pick the mix that they wanted. So here's a little bit of that so you can see it. So that's the OG mix there, of course.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now we switch to the shredded mix.
Oh, the guitar. Interesting.
This easily could have also happened in 1994. That guitar is very...
Yeah. Right. And so then I put it up on Instagram for a couple of days.
I should ask you, what is the reasoning behind going guitar now for the more modern era shredded version of it versus...
I'm in the studio and I was recording an orchestral version because when I heard that it was coming back, in the fall, I went to Nashville, recorded this with a 70-piece orchestra, and I got back and I started tweeting about it and talking about it on Instagram. And I was like, no. We don't want anything different. We want the OG version. So I'm in the studio and I go, well, let's try this. And so I got Andrew Sinowick, this great guitar player out here. And he did the shredded version, which the reviewers loved. But as you can see from this, for sure, this is from TISM 1, 1990 for sure. He picked that mix. This is the NBA NBC 1990 finals. And he's doing his own announcement, right? Tonight, game 1 between the Utah Jazz and the Chicago Bulls. And then everybody, 90%, 95% of the people picked the 1990 version.
90s, yeah.
And then this guy at the bottom, I would go with either one. The guitar is definitely rock on, but the OG 1990 version holds a special place to many of us sports fans. So that's what the fans are saying. So I don't know what NBC is going to do. And they may vary it, but the OG version, if they don't go with that, I think they're going to, I'm telling you, there's like 1,500 comments in 2 days from people picking the OG version.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if that's the way that NBC wanted to go, because again, this is a song that when we hear it, that's what we think about. We think about basketball, basketball even.
Right.
I would love to keep you all day, but we won't. I was hoping that you could just play us out with Roundball Rock if you didn't mind.
Sure. I have to show you one more thing though.
Oh,
and
okay. All right.
And this is I put a video up, and it was just a orchestral version of a little bit of the theme. And I said, what theme comes to mind when you hear this? So there it is right there. What's the first NBA team that comes to mind when you hear this song?
The Bulls.
It's the Bulls. 100% the Bulls. Yeah.
Okay. So there's the Bulls, and then just can't wait for this to come back to NBC. So a lot of people, people picked the Suns, they picked all kinds of different teams,
right?
But and we did this other test on Instagram and said, how we're if you have a minute here,
we got all the time in the world.
Yeah,
Gibb and I did this thing where we found the original animation of the NBA theme, right? And we asked the question, how old were you in 1990 when the original NBA theme with the state-of-the-art animation and Roundball Rock debuts. I'll play a little bit of the top hat.
Because he's the magic.
Oh, I got it now. Sorry, I didn't get it right away.
Yeah. I'm surprised Larry Bird's not just like a bird.
And they're being good sports about it, too. Look at this.
Of course.
So, and these pictures flying around like that took like 4 days of rendering.
In an entire truck full of computers.
Right.
Technically. An entire truck full, you can do this on your phone now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And AI will do this for you.
Yeah, it's amazing, though. This was it, man. Yeah, and now it's coming back.
Look at this fake basketball.
Right, yeah. Coming back on NBC, and there are a fair amount of people because we've been actually talking to them on Instagram, and there are a fair amount of people who just want this to come back just like this.
Oh yeah, if you did this with like Giannis, Steph Curry, and KD, the people would, or Jason Tatum, the people would love this.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
So yeah.
That would be cool. Yeah. I would love to see that. I think bringing some of the retro nostalgia back to NBA. Why not? That's part of the idea, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to listen to the fans, awesome. And I totally missed it. I wasted a whole bunch of money doing another recording. All right, do you want me to play
John,
this thing all the way through?
Do it. I would love it.
John,
if you played us out, you're going to help me fulfill a dream here. If you,
listen, you guys have been a lot of fun. I love talking about this, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Again, a great pleasure to have John Tesh on the Athletic NBA Daily.
Feel free to announce during the part where you're supposed to announce to.
That's going to do it for today's show, folks. For John Tesh, Zena Keita, Baraheni, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.